Hi all, I am Dr. Gunadhar Padi, Consultant Critical Care, Apollo Hospital, Navi Mumbai. So today I am going to discuss echocardiography from intensive perspective. So in the next 15 minutes I am going to discuss what is the role of echo and how to interpret an echo in the critical care unit. So, as all of us know, there is a difference between the cardiology echo and the critical care echo. So, the critical care echo is an eyeball assessment of the overall function of the heart, and it mainly focuses on the hemodynamic monitoring. So, it's a bedside tool, and now the importance of the 2D echo is more and more increasing day by day, and it may be the future stethoscope of the intensivist. So, though the scope of the echo in the critical care is lesser than the cardiology echo, but it is very vital and very important because majority of the decisions in the bedsides are taken by the echo finding. So, as an intensivist, one must know what are the different aspect of the critical care echoes. So before going to the discussion of the echo, I am just going to describe what is the golden rule of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a critical care echo. So what an intensivist must know is the size of the different chambers and the pressures across the different chambers when one look in a echo view. So the rule says that the free wall of the RV, the right ventricular cavity and the interventricular septum size is around 1 centimeter. The left arterial size and the aortic valve inlet size or diameter is between 2 to 3 centimeter. The left ventricle, which is bigger than the right ventricle, it has different dimensions in the systole and diastole. In the systole, the left ventricular cavity diameter is around 3 to 4 centimeter, whereas in the diastole, in the filling phase, the left ventricular cavity size goes up to 5 to 6 centimeter. It is very important to know that left ventricle is the primary functioning pump of the heart. So any disorder or any abnormality in the left ventricle is immediately manifested in the systemic circulation, and it is bulkier, and the chamber is almost 2 to 3 times bigger in size than the right ventricle. But though the right ventricle is concentric in shape, but in few of the diseases where the right ventricle is involved, that also causes profound hemodynamic alterations. Now if you look at the pressures across the different chambers of the heart, as all we know, the right arterial systolic pressure is around 2 to 8 millimeter of mercury, and when one goes from right arterial to the right ventricle, the systolic pressure increases, and the right ventricular systolic pressure is around 15 to 30 millimeter of mercury, whereas the diastolic pressure of the right ventricle is equal to the systolic pressure of the right atrium, that is around 2 to 8 millimeter of mercury. When one goes from right ventricle to the pulmonary artery, though the systolic pressure remains the same, there is a diastolic augmentation, and the pressures in the pulmonary artery, diastolic pressure in the pulmonary artery goes up to 4 to 12 millimeter of mercury. Again, when you go to the branches of the pulmonary artery, then something called as pulmonary capillary wedge pressure which is measured with the help of the pulmonary artery catheter, and which is an important surrogate marker of the left atrial pressure. It remains the same if there is no fixed obstruction between the left atrium and the pulmonary veins. When we go to the left ventricle and the aorta, the systolic pressures in the left ventricle as well as in the aorta remains the same, whereas there is again a diastolic augmentation in the aorta in the form of increase in the diastolic pressure around 60 to 90 millimeter of mercury. So these pressures are very important, because in most of the cases where there is a either impaired feeling or decrease in the contractility of the right ventricle or the left ventricle, there is an imbalance or mismatch of the pressures across the different chambers of the heart, which is manifested in the systemic circulations, and also the impact can go severe in the lungs in the form of pulmonary edema. So before going to the echo, something which an intensivist must know is called the knobology. So knobology is basically know about the different switches and different knobs of the echo machine, and the most important is the probe of the echo. So as all of us know, the echo probe has a frequency ranging from 3.5 to 5 megahertz, and basically it is a low frequency probe, and it is used for the better visualization. In the probe there is a notch which is present on the one side of the probe, and this notch is basically very important, because according to the notch, when the probe is placed on the surfaces of the chest, we can find a corresponding dot in the echo screen. That is why it serves as an important guide or marker for the different dimensions or different directions of the echo probe. The echo probe can move from left to right, or you can also do the angulations from up to down, or you can rotate the probe almost in the 360 degree, both in the clockwise and the anti-clockwise directions. Very important part is to note that the best echoes are obtained when the echo probe is almost perpendicular to the skin at an angle of 90 degree. But in different situations where we want to visualize small minute structures across the valve, sometimes we may need some kind of angulations of the echo probe, and those are the situations we are going to describe later on. So this is a complete echo probe. As you see, the echo probe is attached to the connector with a lock device. It has a cable, it has a strain relief part, it has a body, and it has a footprint. The footprint contains the lens from where actually the ultrasound rays are being emitted, because behind the lens we have piezoelectric crystals which can emit the ultrasound rays. Basically the echo works on the principle of ultrasound, where the piezoelectric crystals which is present in the echo probe, they emit the ultrasound radiations, ultrasound waves, and these waves are again reflected back, and it get visualized by the lens, and what the image we get is actually called the 2D echo. So nowadays lot of newer modality of echo machines are available, basically which uses called the sectorial probes. So the frequency of the sectorial probe, particularly in the pediatric patients to assess the congenital heart disease, is the frequency goes up to 8 megahertz, and the most important part of this sectorial probe is that the ultrasound is being emitted at a particular point instead of the beams being emitted throughout the lens. So whenever the echo probe encounter both the ribs, so the ultrasound waves can easily goes between the ribs and they can pick out beautiful images across the heart. So that is the importance of sector probes, and this assessment is basically called phased array assessment of the 2D echo machine. So from the intensivist perspective, the echocardiography, the views is or the modes are basically divided into 4 types. So the primary mode is the 2D mode, where we scan the different sectors, or it is called the sector scanning. Second is the M mode or the motion mode. Third is the Doppler mode or D mode, which again of 2 types, either the pulse wave or the continuous wave Doppler. And the last mode is the color flow imaging or color flow mode. So we'll go and see one by one. So the basic mode is the 2D mode, where basically we see the different aspect of the heart and we assess the different structure of the heart. Okay, whereas the M mode is a specialized mode, or it is called the motion mode, where it facilitates analysis of movement of the different structures in relationship with the time with other physiological variables. So suppose we want to see the mitral valve in its motion or the aortic valve in its motion. The M mode typically looks like this, where the ultrasound beams basically, when it passes through the mitral valve perpendicularly, and when the M mode is pressed, we can typically get an image like this of the mitral valve. So this is called the motion mode. So in case of mitral stenosis, these are the anterior leaflets and this is the posterior leaflets. We can easily find out whether there is a stenosis or not, or whether there is a regurgitation or not. Similarly, this is the typical M mode picture of an aortic valve in motion, okay, which is being taken in the M mode echocardiography. That is the importance of the M mode, but nowadays the M mode is being most of the times not used by the intensivist or even if the cardiologist, because the better mode is a Doppler mode, where we want to actually see the velocity of the blood. So this is called the Doppler echocardiography. So Doppler echocardiography or D mode, the D mode switch is either in the form of pulse wave PW switch or CW switch, which is present on the screen of the monitor, present on the panel of the echo machine. So the difference between the pulsed wave and the continuous wave is that the pulse wave Doppler basically is useful for assessment of the low velocity flow across a valve like a mitral valve, whereas the continuous wave is very useful for high velocity flow in case aortic stenosis. So this is the difference between the pulse wave and the continuous wave. Both are basically used for the velocity, but if you want to see the low velocity flow, usually we go for the pulsed wave. If you want to see for the high velocity flow in case of a stenotic lesions across the aortic valve, we go for the continuous wave Doppler. The other modality is the color flow Doppler. So the color flow mode or CF mode is a very important mode, because the color flow mode is used to differentiate between a regular flow versus the turbulent flow. So whenever there is a turbulent flow, like in case of a valvular regurgitation or valvular stenosis, when we put the color flow mode, we can find the different colors across the flow. So if you see that if there is a red signs appear in the color flow mode, that means the flow is usually towards the transducer. Whereas if there is a blue color like this, if we find on the CF mode, that means the flow is away from this transducer. So the simple mnemonic is called the BART. Blue is away and red is towards the transducer. But if we see a zigzag pattern, like both the red and blue is mixed, then it usually signifies a turbulent flow, like in case of a severe stenosis, or in case of atrial septal defect or ventricular septal defect. So coming to the summary of echocardiographic assessment, if we want to see the structure of the heart, the best mode is the 2D mode. If you want to see the function and the movement of the different structure in relation to the time, ideally the M mode is preferable. If we want to know the blood flow velocity, the D mode is very important. And if you want to know the blood flow pattern, then the color flow mode is very, very important. So thank you all. So this is where we can actually end the discussion, and in the next few slides we will discuss regarding the how to take the images and what are the different planes through which the echo we can see the echo from the intensivist perspective of view. Thank you.